Anna, good morning, and thank you very much for your time. I mean, it's not a good topic that we're talking about. In the interim, we've seen the government coming up and the Minister Lindiwe Sisulu with the Police Minister Bekele yesterday meeting the African diplomatic community. But on the ground, as we're reporting this morning, more than 150 Malawians say they no longer feel safe. They want to go back home.
Thank you. So the problems, a lot has been said about xenophobia, and it has been blamed to criminality, it has been blamed to high levels of violence in the country, also the rhetoric by leaders, for instance. But us as the Center for the Study of Violence and Reconciliation, to us it cannot be an either-or. It cannot be explained by just one phenomena or one experience. It is a problem that is multifaceted, that is also has many dimensions.
What kind of dimensions are these? Can you just try and unpack them for us?
For instance, there are issues of socioeconomic concerns, real concerns that people have in communities, and people not being heard, people having raised these issues to their local leaders, for instance, and nothing being done, and people because they want to be heard, and also because of the way we deal with the issues in our communities, where the only language that can be heard by our leaders is the language of violence. So even communities have also learned that when they begin to attack, for instance, foreigners within their communities, that is when they are heard, that is when the media and everyone rushes in to hear or to speak about what is happening in their communities. If you look, for instance, at some of the interviews with Sky News, I think the most recent one was with Sky News, this is where the youth in South Africa finally had a voice to speak about what their experiences are in communities, experiences about high levels of unemployment, for instance. So at the heart of it are real issues, real concerns. At the heart of xenophobic violence are the high levels of violence in South Africa, where violence has become the language that our leaders can hear. That is when people are given airtime, airspace to speak about what concerns them. But also the leadership issue, the very fact that our leaders, the rhetoric of our leaders, when they speak in a way that also fuels xenophobic tendencies, where they speak without understanding the psyche of a country that has gone through so much, that is highly traumatized, where any incident or any voice or any word that actually speaks to, that inflames a community can actually lead to violence. It can lead to
a response through violence. In terms of your research, you then don't agree with the South African government?
We do agree, but we are saying that we cannot look at it from one angle only.
The president yesterday, President Ramaphosa, said that they will not allow criminals to set back these processes. He was very clear about that. Minister Lindiwe Sisulu and the police minister assuring the African diplomatic community that everything is being done, and they are putting it to criminality. And you are saying it's multifaceted. You are saying young South Africans are not being heard, but they're being heard by Sky News. But we've had leaders like Julius Malema condemning violence, with the government condemning it. So what are these platforms that you think should be made available to young South Africans, those who are not being heard, according to you, as a center of the study for violence?
So it is important when dealing with this problem to look at it holistically and to engage a holistic approach to dealing with the issues. The people want to be heard in communities. Socio-economic concerns are
yes, you've made the point. Sorry, you've made the point. But instance, I'm saying, what are these platforms then that you think should be created for the people to be heard?
It is important that people are heard by their leaders in their communities when they raise concerns. Mm-hmm. It is important that leaders speak to people when problems are being raised, for instance. It is also important that there are specific steps that are communicated.
So according to you, this is not happening. They're not being heard.
This is not happening, and that this is what also fuels xenophobic violence, for instance. And also what is also probably a gap is that leaders are not speaking to the people during the times when these concerns are being raised. This needs to happen.
In 2008, we saw very deadly attacks, if you recall.
Yes.
I mean, and since then, every year, there's also an incident here and there. We also saw attacks last year in and around KwaZulu-Natal. In your studies, I mean, as the Center for the Study of Violence and Reconciliation, how else do you think this can be resolved once and for all, besides people being heard? Because some people would argue that there are forums where people can be heard. We're in an election year. Leaders go into communities, they make promises and talk to people. People raise their concerns. Some people can say, to some degree, there are some opportunities for people to be heard. But in your study, I mean, how else can this be dealt with in a very effective way that really ends it?
It is important to take a preventative approach, and the preventative approach would mean that leaders are present not only during election time, but also are present throughout the years that we are not in election mode, for instance, to hear people, that forums that are created for people to voice their concerns or to speak about their grievances are actually functioning, and that people actually get the feedback that they need from leaders. That is very important, especially in instances where we have underlying issues such as socioeconomic issues that people continue to grapple with, that people continue to struggle with on a daily basis, especially also within a country where we have many foreigners coming from other countries as refugees, asylum seekers, fleeing from tensions, fleeing from what is happening in their countries, wars, conflicts, and so on. It is also very important, again, that there is education around why people come to South Africa and what are they fleeing from in their countries of origin. So issues of social cohesion within communities are also very important. Issues, again, of integration and overseeing the process of integration by leaders is also very important.
So it's an ongoing process, and try to lead from the front with the integration. Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you.